please, brothers and sisters. Exploration. Contextually, this lesson calls God's people to do the right thing, specifically by promoting justice and righteousness. Broadly, this lesson can be used to focus our attention on the requirements of obedience to receive and enjoy the blessings of God, individually and collectively. Discussions or emphasis that Judah's predicament at this time was the result of years of blatant disobedience toward God and each other. They had forsaken their covenant with Him and its requirement. We are challenging you all, as well as myself, Freddie, to identify how God's covenant with His people today, the new covenant, is being forsaken, especially in the area of doing justice and righteousness. As a class, as are you listening, as all of us, Christ-like people, specifically ways to be more consistently obedient in this area. All right, here we begin with the lesson for today, Jeremiah, the 22nd chapter, verses 1 through 5. Here we go. Thus said the Lord, go down to the house of the king of Judah, and speak there this word, and say, verse 2, and say, hear the word of the Lord, O king of Judah, that sittest upon the throne of David, thou and thy servants and thy people that enter in by these gates. Verse 3, thus said the Lord, execute ye judgment and righteousness, and deliver the spoils out of the hands of the oppressors, and do no wrong, do no violence to the stranger, the fatherless, nor the widow, neither shed innocent blood in this place. He is talking to his people. He is talking to his leaders. It is talking to us today, right today, May the 23rd. He is talking to us today, May the 24th. He is talking to us tomorrow, God willing, if you still be here. Do what is right. Do justice. Do not oppress and put down on the downtrodden and the fatherless and the weak and the poor in your midst. Do what is right. For if you do these things, indeed, there shall there enter into the gates of this house, sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots or horses, he and his servants and his people. Oh, man. But if ye will not hear these words, I swear by myself, said the Lord, that this house shall become a desolation. Do what is right. Do what is right, because God will punish you for that. But if thou do not obey these commands, declares the Lord, I swear by myself that this palace will become ruins. All right. One of the foundation principles of managing a classroom of students is to refuse to engage in misbehaving students in an argument. A specific technique for this is to identify the misbehavior and then firmly tell the student that you have a choice. Stop this behavior or take the consequences. Your choice. You choose, students. By offering the decision to choose, the onus is now on the students and not the teacher. God's covenant relationship with Israel is similarly based on the principles you choose. He provided the standards, and it was left to them to choose to obey and be blessed, or disobey and be cursed. While the Babylonians armed besieged Jerusalem, God gave the king his and officials, the people, the option to choose their way to ensure the continuance of David's dynasty, continued blessing and averting imminent disaster. Verses 1 and 2. Clearly understanding what God is telling them. The choice was to do what was just and right and deliver those who had been robbed by their oppressors. Verse number 3. Additionally, they were to immediately cease the mistreatment of strangers, orphans, and widows, and shedding of innocent blood. Stop it now. If you are doing that to folks in your midst that's in your charge, stop it now. If the choice was to obey this command, they would expect continued blessing. But disobedience would mean the royal palace would become your ruins. Oh, do you get what is taking place here? Daily the choice is ours to obey or disobey God's command. The enemy besieges us with what is in the world. Oh, Lord have mercy. Just take a moment. Think about your situation. Personally, you. Think about it. Are you besieged with what is in the world? The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life. 1 John 2:16. Is that you? If you are, stop it now. But genuine evidence of our knowing Him is to obey His commands. See 1 John 2:3. God specifically calls Judah and her leaders to do the right thing in this lesson by practicing justice and righteousness under the new covenant. The call to implement these practices in the daily life of His people has not changed. It has not changed in this day of the Lord. May the 23rd, 24th. I keep saying that yesterday. That means you should have vividly in your mind what you did yesterday. Did you do right? And for today, are you doing right now? All right? God specifically calls Judah and her leaders to do the right thing in this lesson by practicing justice and righteousness under the new covenant. The call to implement these practices in daily lives of His people has not changed. He has set before us the same two options: do the right thing and be blessed, do the wrong thing and face divine judgment and a loss of blessing. You choose. You, the listener, choose. Freddie, you choose. All right? An adult question for you. God commands Jeremiah audience to do justice and righteousness. How can we engage in more doing things, talking about the need for social justice and equality in our local communities? You can do what is right in your local community right now. Right now. A question for young people that are listening. We can all identify oppression in our community. Brainstorm of different ideas to address the oppressed and bring them closer to deliverance. Okay. For example, in our community, we have the opportunity, which God has blessed us, several of us in this community, to have a garden up here at the school. We allow people to have the produce from that garden. And if they don't have the money to give us some back, give it to them anyway. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. All right? Okay. Bless somebody so God can bless you. Do the right thing. If you are in charge of something and you have the ability to bless somebody, suppose a child come through the lunch line and you're the head cafeteria and you run the kitchen and they don't have the money to pay for their food. Somehow, some way, make sure they get food. Okay? You make sure that student or that person get food. Okay? Do the right thing. All right? Comments on, here go with Jeremiah, the next outline, Jeremiah 22, verses 6 through 10. This is our last outline. Please pay close attention. Here we go. Okay? Jeremiah, the 22nd chapter, verse 6 through 10. Here we go. Verse number 6. For thus said the Lord unto the king's house of Judah, Thou art Gilgad unto me, and the head of Lebanon. Yet surely I will make thee a wilderness, and cities which are not inhabited. You know what it said about Gilgad, a region east of the Jordan in Palestine, also the name of several Israelites. Okay? Look at verse number 7. And I will prepare destroy against thee, and every one with his weapons. They shall cut down thy choice cedar and cast them into the fire. Verse 8, and many nations shall pass by this city, and they shall say every man to his neighbor, wherefore hath the Lord done thus unto this great city? Verse 9, then they shall answer, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Lord thy God, and worship other gods and serve them. What do you think people are saying about America today? What do you think people are saying about America today? And how we are behaving, and how we are doing things in this country. Think about it. What's are you saying about you? Suppose you had a beautiful home and everything good, your children, and then you start doing wrong, and everything begin to go awry. It's a reason for it. God will punish evil. Do what is right. Do what is right. Then they shall answer, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Lord their God, and worship other gods and serve them. Verse number 10, weep ye not for the dead, neither bemoan him, but weep sore for him that goeth away, for he shall return no more, nor see his native country. Now you understand why God says, weep more so for those that are lost than for those that are saved. Okay? Do not weep for the dead king or mourn his loss. Rather weep bitterly for him who is exiled, because he will never return nor see his native land again. Jeremiah references in verse 6-9 is to the royal palace. The royal palace in Jerusalem was known as the palace of the forest of Lebanon. 1 Kings 7:2-5, Isaiah 22:8, because it had been constructed with lumber made from the forest of Gilgal and Lebanon. Dar C.H. 1985, Jeremiah and Jeff Woodward and R.B. Zuck's Education, the Bible, Knowledge, Commentary, as exposition of the Scriptures. All right. Remnant Victory Brooks, as magnificent as the palace was and the degrees of godly affirmative for it, however, because of the people's disobedience, it would be burned by the Babylonians. Say, for instance, let's take, for instance, my home or your home or some place where you live. Suppose you are doing what is wrong. This is a message for you, Freddie. This is a message for all of the listeners, especially my family and loved ones. Do what is right. If you're not doing what is right, stop it right now. The description of what would happen to the royal palace can be said to represent the complete destruction of Jerusalem as the fate of the people for their rebellion against God. God will punish you when you do evil. Do what is right. The devastation of the royal palace and the city of Jerusalem would be noticed by other nations. It would be noticed by other nations. Say, for instance, your neighbors in your community will witness your destruction if you continue to do evil. Do what is right. They will ask why God would allow this to happen. Ironically, they would know that it was because God's people failed to keep their covenant responsibilities and prostituted themselves with other gods. What does it mean by prostitute yourselves with other gods? You know what that means. In other words, you throw all away to get rich, or to go steal a car, or take something that doesn't belong to you. Okay? The people have judged with the curse promised in Deuteronomy 27:15-26, for their disobedient skeptics and the unbelieving among humankind can do observe God's people. For their disobedient skeptics and the unbelieving among humankind can and do observe God's people. The evil people around you watching you as well. Look at that. Let me read that again. For their disobedience. Listen, skeptics and unbelieving among humankind do observe God's people. They're watching you. They're watching to see what you do. They have